Hello students, in today's session we are going to start with the computer science 2 chapter number 1, that is introduction to microprocessor. So let's start with the session. Basically the first question which is asked on this particular chapter, that is what is microprocessor and list its function. On the slide there are total 8 points which are given, but out of which 3 points are very important. So at least you should remember those 3 points. First point is your definition, that is what is microprocessor. So microprocessor is nothing but a semiconductor multi-purpose programmable logic device that reads binary instruction from the storage device called memory, accept binary data as an input, and processes the data according to the instruction and provides the result as output. So basically in case of microprocessor, it is a kind of device means it is actually made up of so many circuitries in which we are having a keyboard. It's not like a normal computer keyboard, but there is a keyboard with the help of which you can enter the number, you can perform the execution. So all the buttons which are related to the execution of the program all are present as a part of the keyboard. After that we are having output device. Like in normal computers we are using monitor as an output device, but in case of 8085 microprocessor we are going to use the 7 segment display, that is one kind of output device. Then like in the computers we are having RAM, ROM, different types of memory is there. So similarly in case of microprocessor also we are having a special area, we can say that, which is reserved to store the data or the information, and that area is nothing but the memory. So basically, as we have I have just read the definition. From that you will come to know that what is the exact content or what is the exact processing of a particular instruction will be taken with the help of microprocessor. Like in case of microprocessor we are having the instructions. Okay, so we provide the instructions to the system. So before execution of that particular instruction, when we provide the instruction through the keyboard, that particular instruction is stored in a special area or special storage which is called as memory. Okay, and after that, that particular information, once it is stored inside the memory, it will be processed. So basically in case of microprocessor, we provides the binary instructions, or we store the binary instruction, or we read the binary instruction from storage device called memory, accept the binary data. Binary data means the data which is in the form of zeros and one. Normally we pass hexadecimal data, then that particular data is decoded with the help of instruction decoder and all into binary data. So binary data microprocessor accept as an input. Then as the instruction which we have provided, according to those instructions certain processing will be performed on the data. Like if we have provided an instruction and we have provided two numbers, so definitely as we have provided an instruction, the addition of those two numbers is going to get performed. So like that only the functioning will be done. That is, first we should read the instruction from the storage area memory, then accept the binary data. Microprocessor actually accept the binary data as an input, processes that particular data according to the instructions which we have provided, like add, subtract and all, and provides the result as output. Okay, so this is first important point about microprocessor. Then how we can abbreviate microprocessor, that is again the symbol is given. As we all know that programmable device means what? It has a computing and decision making capability. So microprocessor is having computing and decision making capability, similar to the CPU which we are having in case of computers. So microprocessor communicates and operate in binary data, as we have learned. So binary data is nothing but the data which is in the form of 0 and 1, and these numbers are actually called as bit. And how this particular bit word is came from? It came from the two words binary digits. So from the binary we selected the first two initial letters, that is bi, and from the digit we have taken the last letter t. So the now new word will become bit. So we are having 0 and 1 bit. These digits are represented in terms of electrical voltage, means if we are connecting the wire to the negative terminal of the battery, so means that particular terminal provides you the data as 0, and if the terminal is connected to the positive terminal, so that particular data is considered as a 1. So depending upon the electrical voltage, if we are having high voltage, then that is 1, and if we are having low voltage, then it is 0. It represents 0. So basically group of bits is called as word, and microprocessor is classified according to their word size. We are having 4-bit word, 8-bit word, so according to that the microprocessor is divided or classified. Each microprocessor has fixed set of instruction. In the second chapter we are going to learn about the instructions of microprocessor 8085. Like 8085, there are so many microprocessor which are designed. This is actually very old microprocessor, and this is very famous during those days, and this is the reason why we are having this. So as the technology improve, the instruction set of the microprocessor is actually increased. Number of instructions are developed, and then they are added inside the microprocessor, so that microprocessor will be able to perform so many new tasks. So that is actually we are going to learn in evolution part. So basically microprocessor has fixed set of instruction, and when we write the program with the help of such instruction, that is called as machine language. And for human, it is very difficult for a human to remember the machine language, like hexadecimal numbers to represent a particular instruction. It is very difficult, or to remember the data which is in the form of zeros and one, that is not possible for a human. So this particular instructions are given abbreviated as mnemonics, means we write the instruction in different format, like English like language. If I want to perform the add operation, then I will be having add instruction. If I want to perform subtraction operator, then I am having sub instruction. So like that we are having so many instructions which can be easily understandable by the normal user, and actually these instructions are called as assembly language programming. So this is the programming which we are going to learn from the second chapter. So in the second chapter, whenever we are writing a certain set of instructions to perform a particular task, then that particular set of instructions are called as mnemonics. So this is the term we will definitely commonly use in case of microprocessor. Microprocessor can be roughly divided into three parts. There are actually three main parts of microprocessor. As at the starting I told you to remember the 3 points from this question. So point number 1, point number 7, and point number 8. These 3 points are very very important. If you are remembering only these 3 points, then also it is okay. So basically microprocessor can be roughly divided into 3 parts. The first part is arithmetic and logic unit, which will perform the arithmetic operation like addition, subtraction, increment, decrement. Then we are having logical operation. Logical operation means perform logical or, logical XOR, logical AND. So all such operations are carried out with the help of ALU. Component of microprocessor second part is registers. So basically registers are nothing but the storage device with the help of which we can store the data temporarily during the execution of the program. Third part of microprocessor is control unit. Basically control unit provides the timing and control signals to the whole system. So this particular unit is also important. So basically microprocessor is divided into 3 main sections. First one is ALU, second one is register. Sometimes they are called as temporary register also. And then the last part is control unit. Then the next one is functions of microprocessor. These functions are again you will be having in one more question, that is explain the functions of CPU. So whenever you are having question based on functions of microprocessor or functions of CPU, for both the question you have to write the same answer only. So these functions are very very important. First function is to fetch, decode and execute the instruction. Fetch means taking the data related to the instructions from the memory. Then decode that particular instruction. Decoding means converting into a machine understandable format or user understandable format, vice versa. So that is called decoding, and after that executing that particular instruction to get the proper output. So this is the first function which is performed by the microprocessor, that is to fetch, decode and execute the instructions. Second function of microprocessor is to transfer data from one block to another or from one block to input output lines. As we are having peripheral devices which are connected to the microprocessor, we are having memory, registers. So whenever we want to move the data, so that is again one of the important functions of microprocessor, to move the data from memory to peripheral, peripheral to memory, like that. So this is our second function of microprocessor, to transfer the data from one block to other block or from one block to input output lines. Then next function of microprocessor is to give proper response to different externally produced interrupts according to their priority. Interrupt means, like in programming C++ and all, whenever we are having certain unexpected condition occur, that is called as error. So similarly, if unexpected condition occur in case of microprocessor, then that is called as interrupts. Interrupt means it actually interrupting the normal or flow of the execution, and then we are moving to somewhere else. So in that situation, whenever we are having different interrupts, the microprocessor is giving certain type of signals, and that signal is nothing but a kind of response which is given by the microprocessor. So again, that is the important function of microprocessor, to give the proper response to the externally produced interrupt according to their priorities. Then the next part is to provide control and timing signal to whole system according to the instruction. Control and timing signal are also important, because basically whenever we are having microprocessor, whenever we are processing the data, then in that situation we want that data should be processed in proper format, right? So to have such type of execution, synchronized execution, we are having clock into the microprocessor system which is connected to the control and timing signal. Sometime because of instructions also some type of interrupts occur. So it's job of control and timing section of a microprocessor to give the proper signal. So this particular unit is very important. So this is the fourth function of microprocessor, to provide the control and timing signal to the whole system according to the instructions. Okay, so we are having instruction which perform operations, arithmetic or logical operation. Along with that, we are having some instruction which actually creates the interrupt also. So according to both the type of instructions, the proper response or proper signal should be provided to the different components of the microprocessor. So that is done by the control and timing unit. So there are total 4 functions of microprocessor. First one is to fetch, decode and execute the instructions. Second function is to transfer data from one block to other block or from one block to input output lines. Third function of microprocessor is to give proper response to different externally produced interrupt according to their priority. And last one is to provide control and timing signal to the whole system according to the instruction. So these functions are very important. As it is, you should remember all these 4 functions. Now we are moving to the next question. Next question is, write a short note on evolution of microprocessor, giving one example of each generation. As I said that we are having total 5 generations of computers. So if you notice 8085, that is actually part of second generation. We are having first generation computer also. That time also we were having microprocessors. So for each and every generation we are having different types of microprocessor. So first generation, the microprocessor which is developed by the Intel organization, and the number of that particular processor is 4004, and it is invented in the year 1971, and its word size is 4-bit, means the 4-bit data can be processed at a time. And main purpose is this particular type of microprocessor is produced to perform the arithmetic operations only. like to perform the addition, subtraction, that's it, not much more operation. So you actually, I have made this particular notes by on my own. So I have created the evolution of microprocessor in a tabular format. If you have the TPS for computer science 2, then just check that all these difference are given in the bullets format, point wise, but I have converted that point into the table so that it will be easy for you to remember, because we should remember the example, at least one example from each generation. So the first generation, in that we are having two microprocessor. First one is 1971 Intel's 4004, which is 4-bit processor, and then one more new processor is developed in 1972. Again it is developed by the Intel only, and the number of this processor is 8008, which is 8-bit processor, but both the processor are used to develop used to perform only arithmetic operations like addition and subtraction. Then in the second generation, the years are 1974 and 1976. In 1974, there are total 3 processors which are designed. Intel's 8080, Motorola M6800, and then there is Zilog company also, whose processor is Z1880. And all these processors are 8-bit only, which act as a CPU, as we are using the CPU. So this particular processor almost perform the similar functions like CPU only, but they are not developed, means the instruction set of this particular processor as compared to today's current processor, the set is very there is huge difference between the set. In current processor which we are using, we are having so many instructions, our system is performing so many tasks. Why they are performing all such tasks? Because the instruction set is very huge. Then in the second generation only, 1976, one more microprocessor is developed, which we are going to learn in detail in our syllabus, that is Intel's 8085, which is again 8-bit processor. 8-bit processor means at a time it can perform the operations on 8-bit data only. Okay. Then third generation in 1978, again 8085 higher version 8086 is developed, which is 16-bit processor. Then in 1979, again Zilog company developed Z8000 processor, 16-bit processor. Then 1980 we are having, that is 1980 onwards, we are having Motorola 68000, Intel 80186. Now we are having the advanced version of this Intel 8086. We are having 80186, 286, 386, 486, 586 we are having. As we all know that we are using the processor, that is dual core processor is there, or Pentium 4, Pentium 5 processor we are using. So that is actually the number Pentium 4 we are calling as a processor, but the number which is given to that processor is 80586, like that we are having. Okay, so that you should remember. In the printing there is a printing mistake. The Intel 808586 is given, but that 8 is extra, it is 80586. So in third generation we are having 8086, 80186, 80286. In fourth generation 80386 is developed, and even 486 is also developed, but that is not much more famous. And now in fifth generation, Intel's 80586, this particular processor is developed, which is actually we call Pentium 4. And after that actually we are having Pentium 5 also, but as this particular subject is not changed almost from last 20 years, so the content, old content is only given, the new content is not added into the syllabus, because now we are having so many other processor also, so that content they are not added. So in this question, what is important for you to remember, that is remember at least one example from each and every generation. And one example means you should remember the year, name of the microprocessor, word side, and its purpose. Then it will be easy for you to remember. So this is your second question of chapter number 1. Then the third question is, draw a neat block diagram of microcomputer system Explain each block function in brief. So this is the block diagram. Okay, and explain the function of each block. Block means whatever we have drawn inside the rectangular box. So that is these are nothing but the blocks, and we have to give the function about each and every block. So first we should remember this diagram, that is block diagram of microcomputer system. Like this diagram, now in the chapter number 1 we are having so many diagrams which will definitely create the confusion, which diagram belongs to which question. So now this is the diagram of microcomputer system, block diagram. Like that we are going to learn so many block diagrams. So microcomputer system, in this block diagram, first element, first block is keyboard. Then we are having keyboard interface, which is connected to the MPU, that is microprocessor unit. To the microprocessor unit, one clock is connected. After that we are having ROM, RAM, means memories are there. After that display interface, this component is present. After that we are having 7 segment display. 7 segment display means just see that 8 numbers in the display rectangle. They are actually, there are total 7 lines with the help of which we can display a specific characters, specific numbers. Okay, so 7 lines are used actually to display a character and number as an output. So this is the reason why this particular device is called as 7 segment display. So these are the components which you should remember, blocks. Then at the right hand side we are having power supply. So definitely the power supply line from the power supply should be connected to each and every component, because if we want the particular device should work properly, we should provide the power to each and every section. So power supply is connected to all these blocks, and to the power supply there are 2 lines, that is we are having data bus, 8 lines are there, and then we are having power lines. Power lines actually provide the power to the components of microcomputer system, and data bus which is actually used to carry the data. Like data bus, if you just see the left hand side, we are having address decoder. Below address decoder we are having address buses. So total we are having 16 address buses, because the address of, that is address of any memory or memory location is actually 16-bit data. So to carry the memory location we should have 16 lines, so that each and every line will carry one element, one data, that is 1 bit will be carried by the each line, so that the 16-bit address will be carried from the processor to the peripheral devices and all. And then we are having chip select line. So all these linings are connected to each and every components, because this is a circuit actually, so it should be connected to each other. So in this diagram you should remember all the components, that we are going to see the function of each and every component further. So this is very important diagram. Keyboard interface, MPU, then clock is there, ROM, RAM, display interface, display is there. Then at right hand side we are having power supply, data buses and power lines, and at the left hand side we are having address decoder, address buses and chip select line. And if you notice in the center we are having one more type of buses, that is control bus is there, and interrupt lines are there. So that you should remember. Basically interrupt lines are always connected to the microprocessor only, because as we have seen the function of microprocessor, there is one function of the microprocessor to give the proper response to externally created interrupts. So how the microprocessor will come to know about the interrupts? Through the interrupt line only. Okay, and 3 types of buses we have used: data bus, control bus and address bus. So now we are going to see the functioning of each and every component. So first component of microcomputer system is input device. So keyboard is nothing but the input device, with the help of which we can provide the data or we can enter some instructions to perform a specific task. So for that we are having input device, that is keyboard. Then the next one more device is there, that is keyboard interface. There are certain reasons why this particular component is designed as a part of microcomputer system is when the instruction or data is entered through the keyboard, it is not possible to feed the instruction directly to microprocessor, because microprocessor may be busy in performing previous instruction or other task. So it is stored in a special chip called keyboard interface. I hope from this you will come to know that why we are having keyboard interface. Keyboard interface is one kind of chip which is used to store the instructions, not permanently but the temporary purpose, because as we are not entering only single instruction in the program, we are having so many instruction. So if the processor is working on one instruction, we should keep all other instructions somewhere. We should store the other instruction. So that storage, for that storage we are using keyboard interface. And one more reason why we are having keyboard interface is that the speed of input device and microprocessor may not be equal. The processing which is done by the microprocessor, that may be having lower speed. So as we are entering the instruction, 5 instruction, 10 instruction at a time through the keyboard, but the processor is executing one instruction at a time, so definitely the speed is not going to get matched. So sometimes in that situation also, because of any reason, if the microprocessor is working slowly, executing the instruction slower manner, then the remaining instruction we need to store somewhere, otherwise they will get lost. Then again we have to re-enter the instruction, which is actually of no use. This is the reason why we are having keyboard interface block as a part of microcomputer. Then the next is microprocessor unit. Actually microprocessor unit, whatever functions just now we have seen in the first question, to perform all those functions we are having microprocessor unit, which actually processes the data, sends the output, generates a specific control or timing related signals. So all such tasks are performed by the microprocessor. And actually microprocessor is nothing but one IC, one kind of IC only, which is having total 40 pins, 40. So it is a chip which is a part of microcomputer system. Then the next block is program memory, that is called as ROM, and data memory, that is called as RAM. Basically when we store the program, that is stored inside ROM, and when we try to store the data is stored inside RAM. So program memory, that is ROM, which is actually, what is the full form of ROM? Read only memory. So this is one kind of permanent memory. Okay, and basically address bus, chip select and signal lines are connected to the ROM. Address buses, chip select lines and read signal lines, these three things are connected to the ROM. And basically it is read only memory, means we can only read the content from the ROM. We cannot write the content, we cannot store the content. So basically this kind of memory is pre-designed or manufactured, pre-designed by the manufacturer only. Then we are having second type of memory, that is RAM, data memory. This particular kind of memory we are using, which is not temporary memory, and we can perform the read and write both the operations on this memory. Means we can add some new data in such type of memory, we can delete some data, we can read the data, retrieve the data. So basically the data buses, that is data bus lines, are actually connected to the RAM, and power lines are connected to all the components. So in ROM we are having address bus, chip select and read signal line, and in case of RAM we are having data buses which are connected to the RAM to perform read as well as write. Next component of microcomputer system is output device. That is nothing but the 7 segment display, which is known as. So basically when we execute the instruction, after the execution of instruction we will get certain type of output. So that output is displayed on the output device. And before output device, we are having one component, that is display interface. So this is one kind of IC only, which is used to store the data and drive. Means whatever we want to display on the output device, that is stored for the safer purpose inside display interface. So like keyboard interface, it's again a kind of IC or kind of memory which is used to store the output, which we are going to display on the 7-segment display. Then at the left hand side, we have seen this particular component, that is address decoder. It actually decodes the address and select the proper chip or proper device to which we want to send the data. Like in normal computers, our computer is connected to the, we can say that printer. Then suppose on the same machine we have connected the scanner. So for each and every peripheral devices, we are having different chip. So whenever I am giving print instruction, the chip which is connected to the printer, that should be enabled, right? So that particular type of function is performed by the address decoder. It activates, it enables the proper chip through which we can devise to the appropriate component. Then the next component is clock. Clock is again very important, because whenever we want to perform anything in synchronized manner, the clock is needed. So basically the execution speed of the system is totally depend upon the clock frequency. So these are the 2 points under clock. Then the next component is power supply. Inside power supply, we are having interrupt lines, which are used to give the interrupt to the microprocessor unit. Then we are having address buses. There are total 16 address buses, and address buses are actually unidirectional. That is, from memory to the device only it can transfer the data. Then the next is data buses. We are having total 8-bit data buses, which are bidirectional in nature, which bidirectional means which can send the data from the microprocessor to the device, as well as from the device it can send the data to the microprocessor, means it is working in both the direction. Then we are having control buses. Basically control buses are connected to the control and timings section of the microprocessor, so that the signals which are generated by the control and timing section, these particular buses can carry that particular signal, okay, to the microprocessor or from the microprocessor. Then next one is power lines. Power lines are basically important because these particular lines are connected to each and every component to provide the power. So this is the explanation about the block diagram of microcomputer system we have seen, and the functions of each and every block. So in that you have to explain this. If you are having the question for 4 marks, then definitely 1 or 2 marks are assigned for the diagram, and the remaining 2 marks will be for functions. So at least write down one point about each component, or at least explain 4 components, so that half marks will be given for each and every components which you have explained. So like that the distribution is there.